Alright, so welcome one and all to the first session of What Happens Next. Aptly named that because it's the sequel to my last campaign, Where Have the Gods Gone? So, I am obviously the DM, Kevin aka Desu, and the controller of your lives for the rest of the campaign. Just if everyone after me just goes off saying they're just a nice voice to character, just say who you'll be playing, and whichever order you want to go in, I'll let you fight among that yourself.
We should do it on the in-game order, like Ulrich, Katrin, all that.
I don't see that order. On my order, it actually goes Katrin, then Alric, then Sebastian, Melody, Andre.
Then Mumble order it is.
Mumble order it is. So on Mumble, our first lucky person to introduce himself is Alric.
Hi-oh. So what, I'm just introducing like what character I'm playing and such?
Well, yeah, you don't have to explain your character that much since we said we're gonna do IC stuff. So you just say what you want your name to be and what the name of your character is.
Well, my mumble name is Ulrich, real name's Evan, character's name's Durin, and he's a dwarf.
There you go. Kill.
I am the inappropriately named Kill. I will be playing Voen, your healer for the evening, and I hope to keep you all alive.
Catherine.
I play Morhan, a Dragonborn, and that's all you need to know.
Perfect. Melody.
My name's Melody. I'm playing Amelia.
Short and sweet.
And that's all we need to know.
Sean.
My name is Sean, and I'll be playing the wizard Eugene.
That's gonna be great. Sebastian.
Ovag, played by Sebastian. Ovag is half giant.
You big, understand. Yazeline?
But he's big little. Or little big.
I play Salvia, a fawn, and yeah, that would be funny.
Would be funny. Alright, so everyone remember to check your as for if you're using in-character or out-of-character talk, as I just saw, because when you reload it defaults to your name, I think, so just do a check for that if you intend to talk in character first. Alright, but since everyone has introduced yourselves, it's time for me to explain the world at least. So, as you can see in this wonderful big old map, we are on the continent of Faerun. And as we are playing 5th edition and a sequel to my last campaign, we are pretty well into the 1500s. The year is 1547 DR, and we are about 20 years after the world-changing event known as the Disconnect, which was ended by the courageous party of my last campaign. I won't get into much details of them. You will meet them throughout this story. So what the Disconnect is at one point in the world, post-Spell Plague 5th edition time, all the gods kind of just stopped answering their clerics, paladins, everyone, and all the holy power was kind of just zapped from the world. So of course that caused chaos, wars, coups, complete and utter chaos and anarchy. And a couple of years into it, about 5 years into the Disconnect, a party was charged with the task of finding out how this disconnect happened, solving it, and making sure the gods come back to Toril. And thanks to our amazing party from last campaign, the disconnect was solved, though the world is still a little shaken from it and rebuilding. Major notes of this is the new gods. There's some new gods and some new responsibilities since everyone last checked, thanks to the disconnect. One major thing of note is Selune, the goddess of the moon and whatnot. She is also now the goddess of magic. Because of some events that occurred in the disconnect, she was able to absorb all the dead power of Mystra back into herself and became the goddess of magic. Though there is another goddess related to magic now known as Kiandra, who is a relatively new lesser deity and sits in a seat similar to Azuth did back before the Spell Plague. Other things of note that has been discussed throughout the world regarding the gods is it seems Bane has lost his home plane of the Banehold to Asmodeus, so it is unknown where Bane and his followers currently reside. Another big note for the gods is Tiamat has regained her greater deity status and has been tormenting Faerun since then with tons and tons of dragon attacks throughout the world. There's been a huge power shift, it seems, throughout the world after the disconnect, and everyone's felt it, from the holy clerics to the arcane wizards. The weave is no more, but the shadow weave was resurrected during the disconnect and luckily destroyed. So that is fresh in everyone's memory, the corruption the shadow weave brought and the power it brought the dark mages of the world. Important things to note in regards to kingdoms throughout Faerun at the moment of this world we're going to be joining is this big red circle here, Cormyr, is centered around the kingdom of Cormyr and the Dragon Coast. A NPC from last campaign, Adderall Ornir, the son of Delgoth Ornir, became the sitting lord of Eversalt. Also, he is the vessel of the demigod Seamorph. During this time, after raising himself to his throne and the end of the disconnect, he invaded Cormyr due to their part in the role, due to the role they played in his father's death. He had a mission against all the war wizards of Suzail, as most of them had been corrupted by the Shadow Weave. Since then, he was able to easily conquer Cormyr with his large army and deity powers, and now sits as the regent of the area, allowing the throne to be assumed by the rightful heir whenever that rightful heir is found. There's currently a lot of infighting throughout the families of deciding who should be the rightful heir, as the line has been broken as the last member of the original royal family decided to kill his last two heirs in an attempt to appease Shar before being put to death by Adderall. Adderall is currently married to the Lady Vin and sits in their power seat in Eversalt, though, as I said, are regents over Cormyr. The next kingdom of, well, not kingdom, but the next political city of note is Waterdeep, and the Sword Coast as a whole, actually. And that is located all the way on the west coast of Faerun, for those who do not know. The way Waterdeep politics work is there's a bunch of masked lords and some super secret council who actually rule, and there's one open lord. Neverwinter was destroyed by the spell plague and is in the process of rebuilding, so what happened was Lord Dalgalt Neverember, the current open lord of Waterdeep, took control of Neverwinter as Lord Protector. See, during the events of last campaign, though, it was revealed that Dalgalt had worked with Asmodeus in an attempt to solidify his power, and since then was overthrown by his son, Renaer Neverember, who is a sitting member of the Moonstars. And with the help of the Moonstars and a little bit of the party last campaign, he was able to overthrow his tyrannical father and became the new Lord Protector of Neverwinter, and as of late, won the election to be the Open Lord of Waterdeep. So he is...
No wonder.
Mhm.
Well, no wonder they needed the party to help them. They're sitting. They're not doing anything. Get off your butts.
Exactly. So Renaer is a strong is the main man in the Sword Coast right now, and the Moonstars are gaining a lot of power and prestige back after their recent rebuild, and they envision a world of peace and unifying humans and all the other races together against the forces of evil, where Dalgalt was a bit of a racist and eventually sided with Asmodeus for more power. And that brings us to our last big regime change, which is over in the east now, in the magocracy known as Thay, which, as you all know, was led by the Red Wizards, and at the time was technically controlled by the evil lich known as Saztam and his delightfully evil lich wife, Valindra. After Raynar gathered his forces in the Sword Coast, he led a siege on Thay to oust Saz, as Valindra had made multiple attacks on the Sword Coast, and he thought the only way to end it was to end the threat in Thay. Saz has since been destroyed, as well as his phylactery. Valindra has been destroyed, but the reports of her phylactery being destroyed are still unconfirmed. Such then, the Council of the Red Wizards have been rebuilding, and the Zulkirs will possibly not elect a new leader and remain a council once again. So Thay is under a lot more, is under a government change as well, but for now you don't have to worry about Saz's evil plan of necromancy to create a death forge on the Sword Coast. And those are the important things you need to know about the status of the world's governments at the moment. So that leads us to where we are now. We are starting the campaign on the Dragon Coast in a little inn known as the Lazy Hound. I will change the map for you guys in a moment to a nice zoomed in picture of the Cormare area we're in, which is that red circle I had outlined. So here we are on the Dragon Coast. As I mentioned, Suzail is the capital of Cormire, so huge trading route as well because it's sitting right on the Dragomir. You guys are playing a wide variety of characters with all, whether you be travelers or adventurers from around the world with your own missions and stories, which we will eventually uncover. And alas, the fates of today have brought you all to the same inn. This inn is known as the Lazy Hound, and sits on the road between Suzail and Valkyr's Roar. And that is where our story will begin, because every good story begins in a tavern.